All right, guilty movie pleasure fans. We were gone last week, and I know things got a little intense, and human nature can be rough and people can do terrible things to each other. But guess what? This week we're covering Deep Blue Sea, and we're gonna get through this together! We're not gonna die in this studio! Ah!
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Guilty Movie Pleasures.
Yes!
Yeah.
Guilty movie. Wow.
There was hesitation on that one before we started. Ben looked at me and he said, "You think this is going to work?
Should I go full Sam Jackson?
Should I do it?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Can you?
Makes sense to me.
Oh, guilty movie pleasure fans. We were gone last week because it was a little nuts, and I couldn't find a copy of this
We
because
can't do this when it's nuts.
we can't. And I am old school, and I used to own this, and some motherfucker borrowed it from me and didn't give it back, and I refused to rent it online for $3 when I could buy it on DVD for cheaper.
Right.
I tracked it down, $2.50, and now it's back in my collection.
Holy God.
To sit on a shelf and never be viewed again. But we are back. Sorry for taking last week off. Hey, welcome to Guilty Movie Pleasures. If you haven't watched us before, this intro is probably really confusing for you. If you have watched us before, this intro is probably still really confusing for you. I'm your host, Ben Begley, at the Ben Begley on all that other stuff. And with me as always,
I'm Jesse McIntosh on all that other stuff at Too Much Jesse.
Yeah. So Jesse, explain to them how the intro goes every week, because you do a good job of explaining your favorite part of the show.
It is by far my favorite part of the show, and you guys aren't privy to it. But
We should
make a story.
what's the thing?
Can we do
Periscope? Oh no, they don't do that anymore. It's just like we should do an Insta story next
we
week.
do an Insta story on how this all goes, and it won't be staged. I promise. It'll look staged, but it's not.
It's not.
But how it goes always is we're sitting here in silence, getting ready to get the cue to
For
start.
like 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Bullshitting about whatever.
Yeah, and then we get the call from the booth that's like, "All right, we're going live in about 10 seconds." And I looked at Ben. I'm like, "What are you going to do for your intro?" And he's like, "I don't know."
And as they're counting down, we discuss it.
We discuss it very quickly and very briefly, and I'm pretty amenable because it's not me doing it. So Ben says, "How about this?" And I'm usually like, "Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, do that."
I won't be embarrassed if you do that.
do
yeah,
that
that's what you say.
because it is something, and it is definitely better than not doing anything at all.
So in case you're wondering, that was my attempt at recreating the Samuel L. Jackson speech, which we will show the video for later, where he gets eaten by the shark. Only if you didn't know, and if you're just listening to this, I was eaten by the DVD case. It was performance art.
It was also really good. So if you weren't watching, if you were just listening, it was really good.
I did a
It
decent
was
Sam
worth-
Jackson.
Yeah.
We're gonna not die in this studio! That's just what I do. I just yell
You
really.
just yell.
I just yell and I kind of clamp the back of my throat.
Sure.
It hurts.
That's
I can't
how,
do that
That's
much.
also, interestingly enough, that's how Sam Jackson does the Sam Jackson.
Could you do Channing Tatum?
Yeah. Yeah. Man, we're not going to die in here.
See, Channing Tatum is always so
Where
calm
is
under
he?
pressure.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
a
all
litmus
right.
test for,
All right, back to the lecture at hand. We're going to talk about Deep Blue Sea today.
and it's going to be a lecture. Is
The Renny Harlin Sharktastic classic. Is
that what it says? Sharktastic?
No, it should. Adrenaline pumped shockwaves. This came out in 1999. Now, mind you, the same year as The Matrix, this movie came out. If you watch The Matrix now, the effects age very well. You watch this now, when the sharks are up close and it's the animatronics, they look really real. Like, I thought they were actually... And in fact, I watched the behind the scenes, and some of the times the actors were swimming with real sharks. Like when
Really?
Thomas Jane is swimming with the shark in the beginning, when it's behind him, it's real sharks. And they went out to the ocean, not just like trained sharks, they swam with wild sharks. And they were like warning him different ways to not trigger them to potentially bite him.
I would have said no thank you.
And they were explaining how if the shark's teeth are like razors and they just saw until it goes through bone. And I was like, what the...
And no stuntmen?
No.
Just like Thomas Jane, get out there. Here are some warnings about sharks.
And the camera crew, too.
Jesus.
Like, Renny Harlin and them are in scuba gear getting this footage.
No, thank
It's
you.
nuts. But
If you're going to do the rest animatronic and digital, why don't you just do that part?
the digital stuff ages kind of poorly.
Yeah,
It
it's
looks
not good.
It looks almost like PlayStation 1 graphics.
Yeah.
And I will say, I saw this, I think I saw it in theaters. I don't remember now. I remember seeing it and loving it and thinking it was hysterical. And knowing it was ridiculous when you have LL Cool J as this expert chef talking to a parrot that he just has named Bird,
Sure.
as far as I know. Because that part, he's looking for him. He's like, Bird? Where are you, Bird? And I'm like, is the stress level just made you forget the name, or did you literally name your bird Bird?
I mean, it makes for easy identification.
It does.
We often call our dog Dog, even though that's not her name.
I take Daisy to the park and I'll say, come here, baby. And I often wonder if people think I've named my daughter Baby.
Yeah.
You know, after Baby Driver.
Worth looking into.
It is. It's worth exploring.
Yeah.
Anyways.
She'll grow out of that name, hopefully.
I thought this movie was a lot of fun when I first saw it, and just completely ridiculous how extreme it gets with some of the deaths are nuts. And the Sam Jackson scene still has stuck out as one of my favorite surprises. When that first happened, I laughed my ass off. And I think that this movie epitomizes to me, so I'll just say it right off the top, this is definitely swinging far into the guilty movie pleasure, which is the point of the show.
Yeah.
So good, you fuckers. That was
You fuckers know who you are.
Fuckers know who you are.
Those of you who are not fuckers,
Former
disregard.
listener 77. You know who you are.
702, never
702,
forget.
never forget. No, but this is for those trolls that are like, ran out of guilty pleasure, movie pleasure ideas. Nope, this is super guilty.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to get somebody pissed off saying there's nothing guilty at all, and they would be wrong.
They're wrong.
This movie is very
They're
guilty.
one of the fuckers. I just want you to know, if
We
you're
just
in
alienated-
the middle of typing that, stop and
Just alienate.
take a look in the mirror.
It's their New Year's resolution, just to start alienating
to
fans
make
every week.
everyone mad.
But watching it again, some of the effects don't age so well, and it's not quite as ridiculous, but I still had a lot of fun watching it. And I think this movie is ridiculous and fun, and I do have some qualms with it, but for the most part, it's worth it just for Sam Jackson alone. What do you think, Jesse? Since you've never seen it, this is another trip down Jesse Virgin Territory lane for movies.
This one I almost saw a couple times.
Was this one of those that you're like, I've heard good things?
No, I actually have not heard
Didn't
good
a fan
things.
say that
Yeah.
that means, what did
That
they
means
say?
I'm never going to see it.
That's your polite way of saying you're never
saying,
going to
yeah,
see
definitely go fuck off. No, it takes me a while to get around to things sometimes.
it. You know what I do? I'll say, if somebody like mentions a movie that I should have seen, I'll be like, oh, you know what? I saw that so long ago, I barely remember it. When really, I just haven't fucking
I
seen
don't remember any details. I
Zero.
couldn't even give you
What
like
about-
major plot
So
points.
Citizen Kane, that part where, I
when
don't
he,
really
when
remember.
he became the citizen
With his cane?
with his cane.
Anyways, keep going, sorry.
No, this was, for some reason, I have a memory of this being always like a second or third option, and just
Yeah.
never.
Yeah, I
seeing
can see
it. But you know, it is what it is. It's a really fun movie about very smart sharks.
They can swim backwards.
They
and
can
all
swim
kinds of
backwards
shit.
and can break through glass that apparently like the pressure of the ocean can't break through.
And can figure out a way to specifically direct humans so that they can take down the structure of this Aquatica base,
Right.
so that the fence is lowered enough for them to get through.
I guess
Those are smart fucking sharks. Even raptors aren't that smart.
Yeah, they knew the difference in material between the bottom and the top.
There's like a third act twist where you're wondering, like, because there's several moments in this movie where a shark has Thomas Jane or somebody dead to rights, and then they just swoop by, and you're like, why didn't they just eat him there? But then you learn in the end, and maybe I feel like this was just a last minute rewrite to be like, oh fuck, some of this doesn't make any sense.
Sure.
So they made it make less sense with this rewrite or whatever it is, where they're like, oh, well, that's what the sharks wanted. The fence up top above the water is just cheap fence. It's not the super strength whatever material they have below.
Right.
So they've been directing them throughout to specifically sink this far enough so they could shove through the shitty chain link fence.
Sure.
I don't even know if humans are smart enough for that. These are like superhero
especially
sharks.
like humans. If you're in a cavern, let's say, and you're like, I'd love to get out of this cavern, and like, I don't think you'd know enough what was going on above to be like, you know, how we can get out is to get the above stuff taken down a little further.
Can we get these bats in this cavern to go around enough to knock out enough of the structural integrity of this cavern without crushing us?
Very convoluted. You have to have a lot of faith in the other stuff.
Yeah, the other stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, that third act twist, and, you know,
but
is the one thing.
I did want to say also, you mentioned that like there are some movies that you when you haven't seen them, you're like, I don't really remember exactly what happened. I saw this movie a week ago now in preparation for last week's show. And
I think the night before I was like, fuck, I can't do it. And you're like, cool, I already watched it.
I already watched it. That's okay. In addition to that, last week was the SAG Awards, which means nothing for most people. But for me, it meant last week I watched every single movie available to me. So this movie is now probably 8 movies ago.
I hope that you somehow get this confused with Darkest Hour.
That's
or
the one I
Call Me
haven't
by Your
seen.
Name.
Yeah, Call Me by Your Name. I've been. I have a lot to say about Call Me by Your Name.
I have a ton that I haven't seen. I haven't seen Call Me by Your Name. I haven't seen Darkest Hour. I haven't seen a few more.
Boss Baby.
I've not seen Boss Baby
Me neither.
actually.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't even heard good things about Boss Baby.
All right, so you had fun with it though.
Yeah,
the gore is ridiculous.
It
in this
was.
movie.
I mean, yeah, it was one of those where like you take it with a grain of salt, and like the central conceit of like a lot of what's going on raises some questions. But like
awesome.
once we're there, and it's fun.
I love. Some of my favorite stuff is LL Cool J versus the shark scenes.
Right.
I love the whole kitchen sequence, which we'll get to, and I just think there's a lot of fun set pieces in this, and some cool stuff they do with sharks, and they build some decent tension in this movie too.
Yeah.
for how ridiculous it is.
I did love, and we'll get to a lot of this. It's going to be like
Let's
I said,
just
sort
the
of
rest of the show just say
pieced together. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
It's going to be non-linear for me, I'm afraid. But the scene where LL Cool J outruns the shark. He's not even swimming. He's running through water, and the shark who lives in water is swimming after him, and
ridiculous.
somehow he's able to outpace it.
The shark's abilities are very in tune with whatever the script needs for that scene.
Yes.
Like when Saffron Burrows is stuck in her bedroom trying to get her research, and the shark can't get around the filing cabinet or whatever, or she's standing on a table.
Right.
It's like, it's not a rabid chihuahua. It's a fucking giant mako shark with a super brain.
Yeah.
I think it can figure out tables.
Yeah. If only the fencing around the table was some sort of material that the shark could have gotten through.
It's not like the shark is Jack from Titanic and can't figure out how to get up on the...
God, spoiler
Come
for
on.
Titanic, Ben.
Did you? They did They did some kind of MythBusters or something where they proved that door was big enough for both of them.
Oh, yeah.
It was big enough for both of them, and Rose was just being a jerk.
It for sure was. Or like Jack was just like, when we get to land, I'm gonna tell all the guys. I let her have the door, and I stuck it out in the water.
Super chivalrous.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. Let's do. Are we ready in the booth, Steven, to do the plot in under 3 minutes? All right. Let's do this.
Tremendous.
It starts off almost like a softcore porno, you think, with the world's worst actors ever, and they're on this boat, and they seemingly are going to bang in front of each other, which, I don't know, maybe I'm too prude and wouldn't do that. Anyways, there's this knocking underneath, and then a giant fucking shark launches through, and you think they're going to get killed, and it's going to be this awesome bloody opening, and then Thomas Jane swoops in with 2 harpoons in the shark and does this little, like, stoic glare. And then we cut to Saffron Burrows in the offices saying, our research is almost done, we just need to finish a little bit more. And Sam Jackson's like, you can't do that, I'm coming with you. And then they go, and they have 48 hours.
Yeah, and they take a tour of the place, and Thomas Jane is not a nice guy, we find out, and it turns out that he is on parole from, like,
something
thieving, I guess.
Sure.
He's pirating stuff.
It means nothing.
It doesn't matter. But he's basically tethered to the situation because of that, because if he does anything wrong, then they're going to send him back to prison. And then there's a big storm coming, and they batten down the hatches, and everyone leaves for the weekend.
Yeah, and then they decide to still go through with the test on the day of the biggest tropical storm heading their way. And they got the goofy lady in the tower who's just jamming out to classic rock, and then she's like, oh shit, guys, the storm's getting bad. And they do the test. The shark is asleep, and then Stellan Skarsgård goes down there to like pet it or something, like, we did it, we figured this out. They figure out that they do have a cure for Alzheimer's. This whole thing is to cure Alzheimer's by making the shark's brain super smart and getting the brain proteins from it. And the shark turns and bites off Stellan's his arm clean off. They put him on a stretcher. The helicopter comes to get him. It falls into the water. The shark grabs onto the stretcher, pulls the helicopter into the tower, blows up almost the entire surface area of Aquatica, which you would think would make the entire place sink. But
would
no,
think
no.
that.
Now they're trapped inside, and the sharks are in.
Yeah, and so then there are a couple of different plans of like, well, we have to get down and then get up, and then we got to go this way.
Lifeboat.
Every single time they come up with a plan, the water is blocking the area. They find this one door. I know I'm skipping ahead a little bit. They find this one door where if they open up the pressure, they open up the door, they could either be taken up by the water or it could explode the whole thing.
Yeah.
And they are thinking about doing it, and Sam Jackson comes around. He's like, we're gonna survive this
we,
together.
We kill
stick
people
together.
in the Alps or something.
Yeah, something like that. He's like, we're gonna stick together. We're not gonna turn on each other. And then the shark comes and eats him. And now the shit is real.
And they're like, oh, fuck, all right, I guess we better just do this. So they go, and it does start filling up, but then the sharks come in. So then Thomas Jane lets the floor number 2 open so that the water goes off there. They go in the top. There's LL Cool J, there's Saffron Burrows, Michael Rapaport gets killed. You got, Thomas Jane, they're all up top. They're like, oh, the sharks are trying to get free. So they go up top, they're going to kill it. They blew up the other one in the kitchen. They kill the other one, I forget how. And then the third one is swimming free. Thomas Jane he's swimming on it. He's riding the shark. LL Cool J harpoons his leg. They break free, blows up the shark, and then they laugh after Saffron Burrows just got eaten in a horrible, bloody massacre. And that's the end. Buddy comedy.
He did that whole second half of the movie in 30 seconds.
I don't know how that happened.
That was very impressive.
I had a lot of saliva build up. I was like,
You fought through it.
I did.
Play hurt. Ben plays hurt.
I will say, let me jump way ahead I want to talk about the one thing that always bothered me from the first time I saw this movie. So spoiler alert, if you give a shit about spoiling something in this movie, but Saffron Burrows' character, there we go.
Thank you.
Saffron Burrows' character, I really like her as an actress, and I like how serious she takes this movie. I think she does a great job in it. And they build up in the beginning this pseudo-romantic relationship between her and Thomas Jane. And like he cares for her and stuff like that. And then in the end, when the shark's about to get away, she cuts her own hand as bait and jumps in and is brutally killed. And then Thomas Jane and LL Cool J blow up the shark and are just chilling out on debris, laughing like we're in Lethal Weapon 4 or something, and like a buddy comedy. And that always bothered me. I was like, why did you have to kill her? Like, why couldn't she have just been like bit? Like LL Cool J got bit on the leg and dragged around, and it's awesome.
Right.
It bothered me so much that they had such disregard for her character and for that arc. And I know this movie's silly as shit. That's why I want to get the one thing that has always bugged the hell out of me. And it bothered me even more this time watching it because I knew it was coming. And I was like, fuck you! She didn't need to die!
I have a couple possible reasons why that may have happened. Number one, the whole shark plan was not to take the walls down. It was they were in cahoots with Thomas Jane and LL Cool J to kill her. And so they played like that's what they were doing.
Okay.
And then they sent her into the water.
And then Thomas Jane and LL Cool J betray the sharks.
Yes.
And kill them.
Yes. So it's basically
what's
the
your
Godfather.
second idea? That's a little bit of a stretch for me.
Yeah. That I was so caught up in the first idea that I forgot my
It's all right.
second idea.
Later on.
It'll come to me though when we start talking about it.
But didn't that bother you at all? Like,
Yeah,
where
sure.
you're just like, what the shit?
Yeah.
Why did you kill her?
Oh, so here it is. Is that she's the only one that like truly cared about what they were researching the sharks on, and if they kept her alive, if the movie kept her alive, then it would have been like we have to go get more sharks.
It's also maybe because I feel like Alzheimer's and dementia is such a terrible, terrible disease that I'm like, oh, you guys found the cure. Fucking awesome.
Right.
But it all gets destroyed and the only person who knew anything about it gets killed. So this entire thing was useless. Like everyone's death. It would be better if it ended with, I would have liked it if she saved her research sacrificing herself and then people could be healed. To me, that's a better message. It felt like they just threw in the Alzheimer's thing just for like, we need a reason for the sharks to be smart.
I mean, they do.
That is exactly it. But if you're going to throw in something like a degenerative brain disorder that really affects a lot of families and loved ones, make it have somewhat of a happy ending instead of like, I don't know about you, but I'm quitting this job. Yeah. Credits roll. Everybody's dead. You're all going to still have, this disease. It's like, come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on.
I was gonna make a pretty terrible joke, but I won't.
Okay. All right. Anyways, that's my biggest qualm of that.
Yeah,
that's
I mean, yes, you're totally right about that. And at the very least, like the thumb drive that she pulled, like they could have saved the thumb, or like as she's getting eaten, she could have thrown the thumb drive and they would have grabbed it.
And I know I'm picking apart such a ridiculous movie, but for me, her sacrifice was useless because the shark still almost got away. I don't know. Anyways,
But
whatever.
I guess the point is that like everything's useless, man.
Everything. It's a nihilistic movie.
Yeah.
It's Renny fucking Harlin. He does what he wants.
Why are we trying?
He did reindeer games. He does whatever he wants.
A classic.
So, we do start off, like I mentioned, in a scene that is definitely like an homage to Jaws with the skinny dipping scene where she gets eaten. And I wish that at least one out of the 4 would have been killed in the beginning, because they build it up like the shark rips through the top and they all 4 fall into the ocean, and you're like, yeah! And then Thomas Jane has to save them right away. It's like you couldn't have had one down and save 3.
Yeah.
And then keep Saffron Burrows later on alive.
No, we had a finite number of bodies we could destroy, and
Warner Brothers said we need 8 victims.
She was already checked off the list. They shot the end first, and they were like, "Well, fuck, we already killed her."
All right. The MPAA is very strict on their body limits.
Absolutely. It's funny to me that like it's such a smart shark, and it came through the bottom of the boat. Like it couldn't have come around, and like they were on the edge of the boat. Like it could have just came up and snatched one if it just wanted to destroy lives.
I think
maybe it wanted to destroy boats.
Maybe it's just
it hates the fact that humans can be in the middle of the water.
I think that's what it is. It was all a scare tactic first.
Yeah.
Because maybe humans taste yummier when they're frightened.
That's probably true.
Some adrenal glands go off or something.
Yeah. It was a warning shot.
That sounds real.
That's science.
That's science. You heard it
here.
here.
You don't have to look it up.
You heard it here. You don't have to. Nobody looks up anything anymore. Okay, so then we get introduced to what's her name? So I stopped saying Saffron Burrows because although I love her name, it's getting Doc McAllister. Oh, she's Dr. McAllister in it, and she's meeting with Sam Jackson, who then tags along.
And she's a mute who has sex with a fish, right?
Yes.
Fuck,
Yeah.
sorry.
Damn.
God damn
that
it.
movie's fucking
I knew
great.
it was gonna happen.
I love Shape of Water. You didn't?
No, I liked it a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I liked it a lot.
So we have kind of like this Jurassic. It's basically like Jurassic Park meets Jaws.
Yeah.
Is what this movie is. Where Sam Jackson's kind of the lawyer character who's coming to check out the legality of it all, and they're fucking with nature just like Jurassic Park,
right? So you
find out that the genes that they actually enhance the brain through
they made it bigger, which was like against regulation or
some
whatever,
kind of
some ghost entity,
and everybody acts surprised, like no shit.
Yeah, if there's going to be no oversight, then they're going to fuck with the rules.
Of course they are.
But so, like you talked about the death of Dr. McAllister, and how that bothered you. This very like getting Samuel L. Jackson to the marina, to me was like, why the fuck is Samuel L. Jackson going to the marina? Like what role does he have? Because basically in the beginning he's like funding is done.
Yep.
And she's like, please give me 48 hours. And he's like, okay.
And then he just shows up.
And then he shows up. Why? Why not in 48 hours? Just be like, what do you have for me?
Yeah.
Rather than like going to see what's happening there.
Because they don't set up anything in that first scene where it's like, well, I want to see it first.
No, not at all. It's just like he could have just had like a pretty chill weekend.
Yeah.
But instead he's like, no, I wanna oversee the last 48 hours of this project to make sure.
And then be brutally eaten.
Yeah.
So we go to the Aquatica, which is a cool name for the base. And it's actually a really cool design. And I like how they set up this world, how they... Jan, I believe is her name. Jan or Janet, I don't know. She always sounds like she's talking via voiceover in the first few scenes she's in because she has such a perfect voice.
Yeah.
And it's all like exposition. So it's like, Aquatica is here. It just feels like you're in SeaWorld or something in the beginning. And she introduces everything, all the different levels of the base. And we're introduced to Thomas Jane, who's kind of a dick at first, but Janet or Jane or whatever the hell her name is.
I call her Ja.
Ja. We're gonna call her Ja.
Yeah.
She explains in clip number 1.
You got full sentences. Usually he just kind of nods.
Tell me that doesn't sound like a perfect ADR voice. You got full sentences. Usually he just kind of nods. That's nice. That was a good impression? You were like, I don't know why you just repeated that, Ben.
But you nailed it. Do it as Samuel L. Jackson.
You got full sentences! Usually just kind of nods!
I was not expecting that to be that funny. But it was.
I heard that, fuck it.
Yeah, here it comes.
There's already been a little bit of talks between Mueller and Trump
Has there been?
about the Russian collusion. And apparently the Trump aides afterwards, in Michael Wolff's book, I've been just blowing through that. Super factual, by the way.
Is it?
Super factual. He fact checks everything.
I bet. He had plenty of time to do it.
Here's the thing. Sidebar. I'll get to Michael Wolff's book in a second. But his aides, Trump's aides, were really impressed with the interview, the initial phone call with Mueller. Afterwards, they were whispering amongst each other, and they were like,
You got full sentences. Usually he just kind of nods.
which is weird because he's on the phone.
Yeah.
So that's always been an issue with foreign relationships where they just think he's ignoring them, but he's nodding a lot.
He's just saying yes.
It's like when I do really physical things on here, and then our iTunes audience is like, fuck you, Begley, I can't see that.
Yeah.
And then I say, well, we're on YouTube, and they go, you're not worth watching twice.
You know what? Listen first, then watch to catch the subtleties.
So Michael
That's what I
Wolff's
say.
book.
Yes.
Just a little sidebar.
Sidebar.
I bought it, and I tweeted about this, that I bought it because I knew how much it pisses Trump off that this book exists. You got to take this with a grain of salt, because I'm not like, I know people who hear me talk about Trump on the show think I'm like a crazy leftist.
And we're talking about Donald Trump here, right?
Donald Trump,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people are like, oh, you're a crazy liberal. I'm not actually. I just think the book is hilariously entertaining because you can tell some of it is in the realm of reality, and others you're just like, how do you know that?
Right.
How do you know exactly what Kellyanne Conway was thinking the day of the election? And like, it's like he gets into their inner thoughts, and it's totally this work of like revisionist history.
He's like writing the movie script.
It's so, but man, is it entertaining.
Yeah, I bet.
The SNL sketch, if you haven't seen it, there's a great SNL sketch where Fred Armisen plays Michael Wolff, and they're like, is this true? And he goes, sure. Did you like it? Was it entertaining? Okay.
Okay.
It's perfect. So anyways,
So
that was a huge sidebar.
No, that was it was a worthy journey.
I don't know if it was.
I was with a couple of friends, and we were trying to get into this bar, and the bar was full. And so they weren't letting anyone in. We had been standing out there for probably like 30, 45 minutes. And one of my friends was like, fuck this, I'm going in. And he tries to like push his way in, and the bouncer grabs his shirt and he goes, look, motherfucker, I tell you, you can't come in this bar. You can't come in this bar. And he throws my friend, and we all look, and like the person standing next to the bouncer just looks at us and goes,
You got full sentences. Usually he just kind of nods.
And you went, you have a beautiful
yeah,
voice.
thank you so much for blessing me with that candor.
So now, Janet, whatever, she also describes the sharks in a very Nat Geo type way. Can we play clip number 2?
Beneath its glassy surface, a world of gliding monsters.
Come on, that's totally National Geographic right there. I swear I was at the LA Zoo. Oh, it's so good.
Someone should just tell whoever writes the next version of Deep Blue Sea, not specifically the reboot of Deep Blue Sea, but the next type of movie like this, that you don't have to be poetic when you write. You can just...
I kind of love it.
Yes.
I like it better because it's poetic.
I wonder if they're taking themselves seriously, or if they're like, we know what's going on here. People are laughing at us, or if they're like, I have a beautiful way to describe a shark.
I feel like it's half and half.
Yeah,
this
'cause
movie rides the line where like sometimes it wants to be taken seriously, and then other times it's just clearly hilariously ridiculous. Yeah. Like LL Cool J lighting a shark on fire after turning the gas on in a stove in a room full of water.
Sure.
Even if it blew up, the shark would still be underwater.
Yeah.
The shark wouldn't blow up.
One thing about smart sharks is they blow up.
Let me tell you, they eat a lot of dynamite.
Yeah, what they gain in intelligence, they lack in not blowing up ability.
Yep, and they lack in their food choices.
Yes.
They love combustible things.
Yes, they do.
They love to eat combustible things. So we find out Tom Jane's on parole.
hate boats.
We're introduced to LL Cool J and his parrot Bird. Not his parrot Bird, his parrot named Bird.
Right.
And I got a popcorn kernel. There we go. That was fun. I eat a ton of popcorn before the show just because it's popcorn talk, and that's what we do. We eat popcorn and then we talk.
Very literal.
I take it extremely literal. His bird is just like this annoying, insulting parrot that's just like, you're an asshole! You're a terrible... He sounds like Gilbert Gottfried, like, you're a terrible chef! Yeah. And you're like, what is the point of this bird?
That's a shitty bird.
Just to add some flavor.
I guess.
Get it?
Yeah.
A chef. I'll see you next week, ladies and gentlemen.
All right,
Good
I'll
night.
take over from here.
Yeah.
And, I get my own theme music. It's very goofy.
So we're introduced to Chef. I think they call him Preach. We find out it's Dr. McAllister's birthday, and they have this hilariously awkward white person dance party where all of them are like, yeah. They're all doing the Elaine.
Some of the weirdest dancing I've seen since Call Me By Your Name.
Is there weird dancing in Call Me By Your Name?
There's got to be YouTube clips of Armie Hammer dancing in Call Me By Your Name.
Oh my God.
Just Google it.
That's worth watching it tonight.
It is the best.
Just for that.
Yep.
Can we play clip number 3? This is about the fence.
Given the surface variations and tensile strength...
Got short answer, man.
8 feet, give or take a centimeter?
Give or take a centimeter.
Let me tell you what I love about this.
Yeah, please.
Centimeters are a different unit of measurement than feet.
Yeah.
Give or take an inch would have been what you want to go for with that. Or you would say a couple meters, give or take a few centimeters.
Yeah.
But he cross-referenced his units of measurement.
He did a Buzz from Home Alone where he's like 1 D or B and 3.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, sure did.
Oh man. So that's Michael Rapaport. He's in here too. He's like the goofy tech guy.
But like
I don't know.
the super smart guy,
Yeah, he's this movie's a little bit Alien, a little bit Ridley Scott's Alien, not like foreign to us. It is Alien meets Jurassic Park meets Jaws, mishmashed into one movie with super goofy characters, and Thomas Jane just being kind of a dick the whole time. And once this thing starts, though, once 30 minutes hits and the shit hits the fan, it's just sharks the rest of the movie, which is awesome. So let's get into what's just a fish keeper. Let's play.
So this, yeah, this is when she's talking to him about like when he finds out that she's enhanced the brain. Thomas Jane has found out that she's enhanced the brain, and he is basically, and she's like, "You wouldn't tell anyone about this, would you?" And he says,
I'm just a fish keeper, lady.
That's typical Thomas Jane.
Classic Thomas Jane.
Classic Tommy J.
Yeah.
Classic. He's just a fish keeper, lady. You know, that's what my wife was asking at Ralph's the other day, if they had any wild-caught salmon. And they gave us that. And then she was like, oh, do you have any, like, ground turkey breast? I don't have any. There's no turkey breast over here. And the guy was like, no, I don't really handle the turkey breast. And she's like, well, yeah, but it's all in the same department. It's the meat department. And he just looked at her and he said,
I'm just a fish keeper, lady.
and she was like, oh, sorry. Got it. He was specialized.
Got it.
He's specialized in
He's
fish
very
keeping.
specific.
Very
in
specific
keeping
at
the
Ralph's.
fish.
At
Well,
Ralph's.
He's an expert.
You would expect that from Sprouts, but not Ralph's.
I would almost not even expect it from Sprouts.
I would not expect it from anywhere anymore. Whatever that means. It's a nihilistic
Take it for
show.
what it's worth.
Take it for what it's worth. What's clip number 5, Jesse? Take this as a sign?
Let's find out.
Let's find out.
I'm gonna take this as a sign.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is LL Cool J when the explosion has hit and
yeah.
water is coming in and the bottle of whatever liquor he's drinking like
Super
rolls up to
shitty
him.
rosé, it looks like.
Yeah, and he doesn't drink, I guess, but
Which we haven't established.
no, we've established they call him Preach because he's very religious.
Yes.
But we haven't established any of the parameters he lives his life by.
There is a deleted scene where they all have it's like a 5-minute scene of building all their characters on this disc. And I watched about 45 seconds of it and got super bored. So I'm glad they cut it because I don't care. I can infer what their relationships are.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm sure there's something in there about him being alcoholic at
What
one
if
point.
what if they just like went through every single person and then they got to him and he was like just straight to camera. I'm a preacher. I don't drink. I don't curse. I love my bird. And that was it.
That'd be amazing.
I would have kept the scene.
Well, it's like Alien Covenant, if you saw that. There's the backstory of all the characters was in a short film on YouTube where they give a ton of history of the people. And then you go see the movie. I hadn't watched that yet, and I saw the movie. I was like, who the fuck are all these people?
You can't need to do homework.
I was
before
like,
you go see a movie. Yeah.
No, that was a key deleted scene you needed to put in the movie.
In the movie,
so
that's
I cared.
part of the movie.
Anyways, that's a whole other thing. So we're starting to figure out what the sharks' capabilities are when they see them on camera and they swim backwards, and this blows everybody's mind because they're like, oh shit, this is, I believe, after Stellan Skarsgård's character's gotten his arm bit off, I think.
I believe so.
Which we'll get into, but let's play clip number 6.
It can do that? Bust through a steel door?
I ain't the expert, but I'd say given Gen 2's size and some room to move, she could put a couple tons, maybe more, into a hit. So yeah, in my opinion, she wants through, she's coming.
And these sharks, They aren't just breaking down doors for the sheer joy of it, are they? They're after us.
It's pretty damn obvious. We don't know what they're doing yet.
So
Man,
good.
so intense.
That is excellent.
Oh, so we skipped over Stellan Skarsgård's death, which is crazy. He's smoking a cigarette in the lab, which they've already given a look. You know, they're downstairs in an underwater.
Yeah.
You know, there's no. You're secondhand smoking.
There's
Everyone.
limited oxygen.
Come on,
Yeah.
dude. He leans down to pet the shark, or to get close to it, which is always dumb. Never
Sure.
do that.
I would never.
The shark full on whips around, bites his arm off, and then he's just running as his nub is bleeding everywhere. It's nuts. It's super gory. They tourniquet him, they get him upstairs, and in my favorite sequence, other than the Sam Jackson sequence, the wire gets broken and he falls into the ocean, and it starts tugging, and then the helicopter gets dragged as everybody's just screaming, watching. And it rams into Funky Dance Lady in the tower.
Yes.
And like we said, it blows up everything. And it's a huge explosion, unnecessarily large, where it seems like everything is gone.
Right.
It seems like they should have sank to the bottom of the ocean, and this should have been a prequel to 47 Meters Down.
Yes.
Which is a great shark movie, by the way. Mandy Moore. Great.
Did you see what
It's
I
super
posted
fun.
on
No.
Twitter? I overheard a fucking teenager who I wanted to kill now, but she was with her friend and she turned to her and she goes, "Did you know Mandy Moore used to be a singer?" And I was like, "Listen here, Mandy Moore is a singer.
Is a singer.
And right now she's acting, but she's a singer."
Have you seen This Is Us? She is a singer on This Is Us, which I've tweeted out that This Is Us should be called This Is Me Ugly Crying for an hour
They should
every
change
week.
the name.
This Is Me Ugly Crying.
Hey, if you guys are watching, this is
Such a
Us.
great show.
Rebranding.
Anyway, so these sharks are super smart. Then, before all of the shit hits the fan and that clip happens, they're all down in the observation room and they see something coming towards the giant glass window.
Yes.
And it's Stellan Skarsgård in the gurney with the shark has him in its mouth, and it flings him at the glass and it breaks the glass, and his poor wife, Jan or Ja, whatever we decided her name was.
Ja.
She's watching as her husband's like cracking through the glass, arm off with the oxygen tank. They all have to run out as all the water rushes in, and then the rest of the movie is these tunnels that they're all trying to get through these tunnels and figure it out. But that sequence is, I remember being like, that's bananas. That's bananas that this shark is, we know what kind of movie we're in when a shark is just like full on chucking a dude's body. That's a dick move.
Yeah, so couple things here.
Please.
I have a lot to say about this particular sequence.
Because I took 40 minutes on Michael Wolff's book,
That's all
so
right.
please.
That's okay. I have a lot to say about Michael Wolff's book as well. And here's how it relates to that sequence. So if the end goal of the shark is to get over the wall,
Yeah.
right? I don't know how much the shark weighs and how much the helicopter can handle,
Yeah.
but wouldn't it have been worth just holding on to that rope as the shark
And just seeing if it
and
could
just
lift
seeing
you?
if they could have lifted it out of the water?
And if not, then oh well.
Right. Second part of that is
see that.
if you've
I don't think it could have
seen-
lifted it though.
But that's okay. Like, let's
didn't
just
know.
see,
Let's
right?
try.
They didn't know it's a shark. You know, they're smart sharks, but they're still sharks.
They're still sharks.
If you have seen a movie and you are driving a helicopter, flying a helicopter,
I like driving helicopters.
if you're
too.
driving the helicopter to save someone that you have to drop a rope down to, you know you should keep a pair of clippers in your helicopter in case something goes shitty.
Yep.
Because you don't want
Wire
to be
cutters.
anchored to whatever the fuck is on the bottom of that line.
Why don't they? Yeah, they never bring wire cutter. Like,
Right.
it's always like, oh shit, I guess we're just getting dragged
I
along.
guess now we're going to die.
No, yeah, you're right.
So bring some clippers.
In case you need a haircut.
Yeah. Third thing, if you're going to build an underground
Mm-hmm.
situation like they built, I would maybe think about multiple panes of glass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if anything goes wrong,
You're kind of fucked.
you're totally fucked.
Yeah.
And one thing went wrong and they were immediately fucked.
Which I thought that glass was super reinforced, but apparently that shark was strong enough.
Even if it's not, it must be reinforced because the pressure of being that far down in the ocean would require for it to be. But even if the shark came
Yeah.
out at full speed, there should be an inside pane of glass that it cannot get to.
that, and if Stellan Skarsgård's body hit that with such impact that it would shatter this super reinforced glass, wouldn't his body have just like exploded on
Yeah,
impact? Wouldn't
yeah.
he? Instead of he doesn't even get a cut from hitting the glass. So wouldn't he? If he would have hit, what if he just hit and was like, and just exploded.
That would have been way better.
That would have been awesome.
First of all, I would have forgiven the fact that they didn't reinforce their fucking underwater glass.
Reshoot that sequence, Renny Harlin, and have Stellan Skarsgård's body explode.
Yeah, that whole sequence, I was like, come on, what the fuck? No one thought about any of this stuff?
It's ridiculous. So we have... Oh, sharks can bust through doors. We already talked about that. We already found out that they're gene altering and everything goes to hell. Oh my God. So now we have... what is... Sure, let's play that. Let's see
what you've done is taken God's oldest killing machine and given it will and desire. What you've done is knocked us all the way to the bottom of the goddamn food chain.
I mean, if it's... Not to nitpick that, Thomas Jane, because you were very good in that, and I liked your performance, but when it comes to sharks and humans in their element... Aren't we already below them in the food chain? Or I guess not.
I mean, I would argue that particular experiment on the sharks did not knock us to the bottom of the food chain. It may have knocked us down a peg as it relates to a shark, but we are not...
Like sand crabs are still below us.
Yeah, we're not now prey to every other predator on Earth.
Like a stray cat.
So that was kind of melodramatic.
Yeah, you're getting a little... Come on, you're blowing this out of proportion.
Way out of proportion.
It's already big enough. You don't need to just go crazy with your metaphors here or your comparisons.
Absolutely.
So everything's... The scene with Preach that we kind of talked about is there's a shark stalking him in his kitchen.
Yes.
And he hides in the oven. And then the shark, as it swims by, turns the oven on.
Yes.
And it starts... I don't know if it heats up or if it's just gas, but he starts coughing. And he's grabbed an axe before this that he brought with him. Because Preach is very, he knows...
He's like the Jason Bourne of the kitchen.
Or the MacGyver of the kitchen. And he just starts hacking away at the top part of the oven. I guess he's in the broiler and he needs to get I don't know, whatever. I don't cook that often. And he gets to the top part.
Yep.
Gas is pouring out. He dives over the shark, and like you said before he's running in water away from this shark that's super strong and super fast. This time he's able to swim away from a shark in like a maybe 20-foot room.
Yes.
A shark that can swim backwards, and yet this shark can't figure out fast enough that he's gone.
And isn't the shark in the oven? Didn't the shark like break through the oven?
He broke through the oven. Maybe he's stuck.
I would also submit just maybe leave the oven on and see what happens.
Yeah.
Because you've already got him.
Yeah.
Like, why would you then break through the oven when the oven is doing your work for you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. The shark isn't that smart then, because just leave it in there.
Right.
Let him get gassed.
Cook him.
And then he'll flop out and you can eat him then.
Yeah.
But then I guess there's enough gas in the room where Preach can turn around and flick a lighter on that lights perfectly, having been submerged in water.
Sure.
I don't know if you know this, but Zippos, if it's sprinkling out, don't really light that well, let alone being submerged in water. But he tosses it, and the shark and the whole room blows up, and it's epic and ridiculous.
Yes.
And you're like, fuck yeah, Preach! Yeah!
Preach did it.
Preach did it! So then we have... Oh, there's a great scene. We have this sound clip with Einstein's relativity. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Or no, oh, this is first. This is Preach getting pissed, and this is right before he blows up the shark. Yep.
You ate my bird.
I forgot to mention the bird gets eaten.
Bird
Spoiler.
gets eaten. And that's what makes Preach so mad. Not that he's being chased down by a shark.
The bird was kind of a dick to Preach, so I don't know why he's so upset about it.
They probably have history that we didn't see.
So then Preach goes on these different... So Preach and the gang meet each other because they think there's a shark about to bust through above them.
Yes.
And instead it's Preach, and they're talking, and he's like, hey, they're getting like, God's forgotten us down here, and Preach is like, Clip number 9.
He always answers. Sometimes the answer you get isn't the answer you want.
To me, that's a little bit of a cop-out, Preach.
Sure.
Because nobody wanted to be eaten by sharks. What kind of an answer is that?
The answer that your time is up, I guess.
I guess it is. I guess it's fuck, your final destination moment is here.
Also, I sort of didn't think about it until you set that up just now, but like this big group of people, they know Preach is there, right?
And they never are concerned.
No one ever was like, hey, I hope Preach is doing all right. Let's go find Preach. No one. Yeah. 0 people.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
That's fantastic, actually. Oh, shit. We forgot. We skipped over completely Sam Jackson's moment.
Oh, let's get back
to it.
Can
we play that? We're just going to play a clip from Sam Jackson. Everybody's feeling really down. They're like, every way they keep trying to go, they can't get through. Poor Jan has been eaten, and her death scene's awesome. No, that's later. She dies later. Anyways, her death scene's great, where she falls off a ladder, and they're all dangling over it, and they're like, grab our hand, and she gets sucked under. Then she comes back up, and you think she's jumping up to grab his hand, and it's the shark grabbing onto her, like she's like riding the shark's mouth like a horse, but being eaten. And she gets launched up, and they're like, ah! Blood's everywhere, and the shark drags her back down, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
You feel really bad for Ja. For Ja.
She didn't have
so
a
we
ton to
skipped
live
over
for
that.
after that, yeah.
But before that is Sam Jackson's death. And can we play that clip? Do we have that ready in the booth? No, the YouTube clip. Sorry. Yeah. So anyway, so this YouTube clip, this is one of my favorite moments. Sam Jackson has hinted at this thing that happened in the Alps where he survived this avalanche, and apparently 2 of the people got killed somehow. Maybe they full on alive, like ate him.
Well, that's what he talks about in this clip.
So let's play this. Whenever you're ready.
I swore that we said was the snow who killed the other 2. But it wasn't. Nature can be lethal,
So good.
but it doesn't hold a candle to man.
Why are they only focusing on Thomas Jane?
Now you've seen
the
how bad
sexist.
things can get and how quick they can get that way. Well, they can get a whole lot worse. So we're not going to fight anymore. We're going to pull together and we're going to find a way to get out of here. First, we're going to seal off this
It looks so shitty. It's amazing. The shark jumping up at that moment is so fucking good. Because now you know that shark is just being a dick.
Yeah.
And let's watch that one more time. Just that moment right here. Come on.
and we're going to find a way to get out of here. First, we're going to seal off this
What they don't show, what we don't have is the very next moment is these two sharks basically come and rip him in half and like eat him.
Yeah.
It's pretty, it looks like a cutscene from a PlayStation 1 game, but goddamn, that scene is so funny. You know, Sam Jackson, that's how Renny Harlin sold him on this script.
Oh, no doubt.
No, any actor would be like, fuck you. That's why I love Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson can do ridiculous shit like this and still sell it. And then he can do amazing stuff like Django Unchained. Or it's like he's crazy good. And no matter how many silly, shitty movies he does, he's always awesome.
Yeah.
Snakes on a Plane. He's awesome in that. That movie is dumb as shit, but he's awesome. Samuel L. Jackson, if you ever want to come on the show, we will gladly have you.
You know, Samuel L. Jackson, when Snakes on a Plane was out, my stepmom did this, but you could have Samuel L. Jackson's voice call and leave a message on your phone, and it was
He's
like
the coolest guy ever.
and it had the line of like,
I'm tired of these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. Do we have any more time than 4 minutes? If not, I'll speed along. What's that? Oh shit! All right, okay. I talked too much about Michael Wolff's book. Let's see. So there's this is a fun clip about the theory of relativity, which actually, if they would have explained it to me like this in high school, I may have paid attention more. Should we play clip number 10?
Einstein's theory of relativity. Grab hold of a hot pan, a second can seem like an hour. Put your hands on a hot woman, an hour can seem like a second. It's all relative.
OLL.
So
That's why ladies love Cool James.
That's the whole reason.
Right there. Right there.
Because he can explain science to you.
He can explain science and seduce you at the same time.
Yeah, so let's just quickly examine LL's character in this movie. He is a world-class chef.
Yep.
He is
Former alcoholic.
highly religious,
Talks to a bird that's very vulgar.
and he knows a lot about science.
He's a well-rounded
He's
dude.
the most well-rounded, I would say.
He is.
It's a no wonder they saved him over
Absolutely.
Dr. McAllister.
Absolutely. So we skip. So then Michael Rapaport and Thomas Jane go to try and open up something. I don't know. There's something they try and do where something. I forget. The plans all kind of meld
They
together.
had so many different plans.
It's just like flush water out of this thing.
Oh, there's another door. Oh, but there's one more door.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
there's one final door.
Poor Michael Rapaport just gets bitten in half again. And I think, if I remember right, he gets torn in half, and I don't remember. It's some CGI immediate shark death scene. Do you remember?
I honestly don't remember.
Whatever. He just gets scooped up dead. They're going to the top. They realize the sharks are going to try and break free. They have this harpoon that they've hooked up to a battery with dynamite in it, which makes sense.
Sure.
Preach falls in, gets full on. His leg bit and is being dragged around like Elizabeth Berkley's sex scene with Kyle MacLachlan in Showgirls, where he's just flailing around. In fact, the sex scene may have been more violent than his shark attack. If you haven't seen Showgirls, it's something. Anyways, so he's getting flung around, blood everywhere. You think Preach is dead. He gets free, because he pulls off his cross and fucking stabs the shark in the eye, which is so badass.
Yeah.
Swims to safety. The shark's about to get free. It's out of range of the harpoon dynamite battery gun,
I guess.
So Saffron Burrows says, I know how to fix it. I'll be bait. She cuts her hand, jumps in, full on gets bit in half, and then gulped up in one gulp instantly.
So this is...
which bothers me.
My wife came in and caught the end of this movie while I was watching it, and we both were watching, and she was like, wait, so why are they trying to kill the shark? And I was like, no, I don't know, because the shark's trying to escape, so I don't know why they're trying to kill the shark right now.
I guess if it escapes, it'll just do bad things.
Will it?
Will it mate with other sharks and make super smart shark babies?
I don't think that's how it works.
I don't think there's anything...
Their smartness is artificial. I don't see how that they could then make...
Yeah, it just, if it gets away, it just...
Yeah,
but
go
it
ahead,
did
let
try
it.
and fuck up stuff in the beginning, so maybe some more softcore porn actors would be at risk.
I guess.
So we had 1:32. Shit. Okay, so then Thomas Jane jumps in and does the thing he does in the beginning where he matadors the shark, and the shark comes around, he rides it. He's like, shoot it, Preach, shoot it. Preach aims and says some kind of like, shepherd, guide my hand, blah, blah, blah. Shoots the fin of the shark and pins Thomas Jane's leg.
Yeah.
And Thomas Jane is like writhing in pain. The shark knocks free of the fence, somehow rips Thomas Jane off. We never see how. And then Preach blows it up, and it's just the shark bits and blood everywhere in like a 30-foot radius. And then they climb up and have a buddy cop scene ending where they're just laughing about quitting this job and all that stuff, even though everyone was brutally murdered.
People fly in.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what was this last sound clip?
That's what I was trying to look.
You want the sunny kid in your class where
I never went to class.
All right.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, it's everyone was just brutally murdered, and you're both bleeding out of probably really, really strong arteries in your leg. But, you know, whatever.
Sure.
Maybe
But
they were delirious from all the lack of blood.
I do love that they had that moment, and like people were coming in just at that moment. And it's like, man, if you guys could have just like stood there for another 3 minutes,
Saffron
she
Burrows-
wouldn't have had to die.
Yeah.
You probably could have still caught the shark.
Yeah. Well, you know, hindsight's 20/20 in the Deep Blue Sea.
Indeed.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a great time here talking one of the greatest shark movies ever. It's ridiculous. Jesse, until next time, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at TooMuchJesse, and for Sketch at The Prom Losers.
You can find me at the Ben Begley, and also my wife wrote a really brutally honest, hilarious blog about giving birth at Parents vs. Baby. We tweeted it out there, and parentsversusbaby.com. We're launching a sketch next week. Each week, we're going to have a new blog, podcast, or sketch. One of those is going to come up every week, so tune in and get scared to be a parent or laugh along if you already are one. Until next time, what is your guilty movie pleasure?
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.